So we're talking about reveals or V-necks. So there's not too many to get excited about. However, these are the ones that that we kind of scraped from Microsoft over the week. So Global Service Monitor. Anybody here, hands up, heard of GSM or Global Service Monitor? Okay, cool. I'll show you a little bit on that in a sec. Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack, or MDOP 2013. MDOP is essentially the... has anyone heard of MDOP? One or two? Yeah, so if you do config manager and device management, you probably come across MDOP. However, it has had some really cool tools in the past, like the ERD and the Dart tool set and stuff like that. So MDOP 2013 has now been released to manufacturing, which means if you have, Aidan, am I right, software assurance? You can
software assurance on your desktops, you're entitled to buy MDOP.
Cool, okay. Cool. So, cool, okay. So System Center Advisor. So System Center Advisor, sorry, the connector for SCOM Preview was released. So System Center Advisor, that is, you could say it's SCOM Lite or Ops Manager Lite in the cloud. Okay, so Microsoft have expanded it, and you know it's debatable as to what direction they're going to go with it with Advisor. A year ago we heard about this product. It was announced at MMS 2012. And it's certainly, you know, a lot of us in the field thought, you know what, having a full-on cloud-based ops manager kind of agentless solution would be pretty cool, because, you know, when we talk to smaller companies about monitoring and management, a lot of companies will be using the likes of Kaseya or something like that, maybe level platforms, to manage remotely from the cloud, which is agentless, whereas typically Ops Manager needs an agent and a VPN. Now there are certainly vendors out there that have got around that, but you know essentially that's the way Ops Manager from the cloud would have had to have been delivered. So System Center Advisor is their cloud offering that originally only worked on, or monitored rather, Windows Server and SQL or SQL. So they've extended that to Windows Server 2012, SQL. I'm not sure if they're doing Exchange just yet, but they've added a few additional functionality or monitoring functionality to it, a few extra features. And what they've done, which is pretty neat, is that they've allowed a connector, or created a connector to hook in any Advisor monitoring that you have up in the cloud, to hook that into System Center Operations Manager, and to be able to see the alerts from both in one central location. So that's a pretty neat one. It's only in preview now, so if you have Ops Manager and or Advisor and you're looking at this, certainly just download it and work with it in your lab environments for the moment. Windows Azure Active Directory hits general availability. So for me, as a System Center MVP, a lot of the sessions that were delivered at MMS, well, around System Center, like Ops Manager and stuff like that, I will probably have seen over the last year, or I've been involved in, or I know about. So I kind of made a commitment to myself going over there that I would attend, you know, a number of sessions that were a little bit out of my comfort zone, or stuff that I wasn't too familiar with, but that I kind of knew that I had to ramp up on. And Windows Azure was one of those tracks, if you like. So Windows Azure for Active Directory, essentially it's Active Directory in the cloud. And they've announced that it might not sound like a big wow factor, but it is something that I think will gain a lot of traction, and can certainly, you know, particularly if you start moving stuff up into the cloud down the road, you can probably start looking at not necessarily having to use on-premise or physical Active Directory domain controllers. You can then just spin up a DC up in the cloud in whatever kind of environment, whether it's a test or production, and make use of it from there. So that's gone general availability. Fabric Management Pack preview for Ops Manager has also been released. That's pretty cool. Is anybody here using Azure at the moment, even in a dev or test environment? One or two. Okay. And are you guys using Ops Manager as well? Okay. So if you're using Azure and you have Ops Manager, download the Fabric Management Pack preview. It is a preview, so if you have issues with it, your support issues, it's not going to, you're not going to get too much traction from a support perspective. You can certainly log it on Connect, the Microsoft Connect site, but it is a preview. However, if you've ever worked or seen the previous iteration of the management pack for Azure, you know, there's no comparison. This one is brilliant compared to the older one, so definitely advise you to have a look at it. And Windows Azure Virtual Machines has been generally released or made GA as well. So basically, we can get a VHD or a virtual machine up in the cloud and spin it up. And can we live migrate from on-prem to up? No, not yet. Cool. Okay, so not live migrate just yet, but you can spin up VMs in the cloud. So this particular feature was available in beta and customer technology preview for quite some time, but at MMS they finally released it to general availability around the same time as they also mentioned another intriguing one for us living here in Ireland. Normally when I speak to people over in the US or in some of the larger European countries, and when they're talking about Azure, I'm thinking, well, it's too dear over here for us initially, you know, for the smaller businesses who would probably benefit from a lot of the production, like putting their production resources up into Azure. You know, it has been just too cost prohibitive. Although over at MMS, and not exclusively announced at MMS, but around the same timeline, Microsoft announced that they have matched Amazon Web Services dollar for dollar, and Dave said to me earlier they're probably a bit cheaper now, are they? Okay, so that's significant. Like it means that Microsoft are ramping up on their features in Azure. Okay, and at the moment we're kind of going Azure, okay, we're sick of hearing about it now at this stage. But as they're ramping up on their features, they're also knocking the prices down, which at some point in time there will be, I'm sure, a tipping point where, you know, you may well just say, well, hang on, this is a pretty viable solution that we need to look at now. Cost effective, you know, disaster recovery, whatever functionality you can see out of that, outside of test and dev, which is exclusively it's what's been used for at the moment. I just took this slide here just to show you a little bit about Global Service Monitor. So Global Service Monitor was announced general availability as I mentioned in the last slide. This is a feature that I can definitely see if you have System Center Ops Manager, it has to be 2012, so if your System Center Ops Manager 07, this won't work. But if you have System Center 2012, if you're licensed for it, then you're entitled, if you've got software assurance with your licenses, you're entitled to use this as part of your SA. And what it is essentially is, we spoke about synthetic transactions earlier, or client perspectives. We can take a website URL, let's say we take Ergo Group or Microsoft.com or whatever. We can take our company URL or any URL we want, and we can then basically get GSM, Global Service Monitor, to monitor that website and report back availability and performance on that website from any, well, I won't say any location in the world, but I think there's about up to 26 different locations around the world now. And it's essentially web monitoring, web application monitoring from the cloud or from Azure, without having to deploy typically your SCOM servers or gateway servers or agents to each of those different countries. So it can be quite useful if you're a large enterprise, or if you, even if you're not large, if you have a corporate website, and it doesn't even have to be hosted in your own premises. If you have a corporate website that maybe you have customers hitting from around the world, then this could well be a feature that you need to look at, and you need to see, well, hang on a second, it would be quite useful. In this example here, we can see, you know, in most parts of the world, the availability and the performance is fine, but, you know, in wherever that is, Turkey or something, and probably in the UK, there's issues. So, you know, if you had customers ringing into the help desk complaining that, you know what, I can't access the website, or it's really, really slow, you're going to know straight away, because you have that up in a big dashboard. So, nice feature. If you have software assurance, you can go and get that now. Okay, so now we're into the session.